have died. But you must learn to fear.
Imagine this. A young ninja turns his back on the orphanage that raised him, leading to a confrontation with a fellow ninja from the clan. I am today's host, Nathan, and I'll be explaining 2009's Ninja Assassin. The movie begins with a man named Osaka receiving a tattoo at a bar. The man giving him the tattoo is doing his job, but Osaka is wincing in pain. He complains to the tattoo maker, and the man tells him that maybe his choice of career is unsuited for him.
The path you've chosen is not the path for which you're suited.
Osaka gets angry and almost shoots the tattoo artist in the head, but he can't since the tattoo isn't complete yet. One of Osaka's men brings him a letter. Osaka asks him to open it, and it is filled with black sand. The tattoo artist tells Osaka that those come from ninjas.
What came out of the shadows?
And they all laugh at him. Suddenly, the man who brought the letter loses his head, and the rest of the men shoot at the windows in a mad frenzy. The ninja slices them one after the other until Osaka and the tattoo artist are left. Osaka tries bailing himself out of it, but is killed regardless, and so is the tattoo artist. In the Europol office in Berlin, an agent called Mika Coretti meets her boss, Agent Moslow, with a bunch of paperwork. He asks if it's related to their latest case, and she says it's about ninjas. Moslow obviously looks disappointed when she says it, and she tries convincing him to believe her case. She shows him that the clans that produce ninjas require £100 of gold to assassinate a man. Moslow is still skeptical about it, and she asks him to just try researching it as well. Moslow thinks about it and eventually agrees. In a laundromat, a guy named Mr. Nan is putting his clothes in a machine when a woman asks him to help fold a mattress. While folding, he asks her what clan she's from and what she's doing in the city. Immediately, she tries attacking him, and a fight ensues. The man working the store hears the shouts and goes outside to check what's going on. When he does, he sees the woman's cut-up body in a washing machine. Back at Mr. Nan's house, his neighbor tells him there was a heating problem and she had to go into his house. She says it has been fixed, though, and made remarks about how sparse the furniture was. Nan goes inside and checks on his ninja equipment. When he sees all of them where he left them, he reminisces back to his childhood days, when he first joined the clan. It turned out he was named Raizo by the leader of the clan, whose name was Ozunu. Ozunu talks to all the kids and tells them to welcome Raizo as their brother. They all do and bow, except for one girl who stares at him. Back in the present, Raizo is eating when he goes through another flashback. In this one, Ozunu tells all of them that hunger, thirst, and blood are their weaknesses. He tells them to master them in order to master themselves. He then cuts his own palm and closes the cut with some kind of incantation. The next day, Raizo is tiptoeing through the hallway in his latest training session, with Ozunu watching him. He keeps doing it until the floor makes a sound. Ozunu meets him and flogs the soles of his feet as a punishment. Raizo continues when Ozunu is done. That night, Raizo is having difficulty sleeping due to the scars under his feet, and the same girl who stared at him on his first day comes to treat it with something. When she's done, Raizo feels a lot better and sleeps normally. Back in the present, the soles of his feet still bear the scars, and he looks at a watch and gets up from bed. Agent Mika and Agent Moslow meet somewhere for lunch, and she asks him how his research is going. He tells her that maybe she's telling the truth because a Russian agent was expelled from his agency for making the exact same report. Mika asks about the agent, and Moslow says he's dead. Back in Raizo's memories, he has just won his first battle, and he has scars all over his back. Ozunu talks to him about the importance of fighting and how he must face all his enemies without fear or remorse. Raizo listens and is proud as Ozunu congratulates him. Agent Mika goes to meet the Russian agent's wife at her house. After some pleasantries, the woman tells Mika what happened with his report and all. Her husband installed new cameras and locks and had plenty of light surrounding the house. When Mika asked how he died, she simply replied that the lights went out. The woman gives Mika a box and tells her to look into it. Mika thanks her and leaves. Back at her house, Mika turns on all the lights in the apartment before opening the box she was given. Inside the box, she sees a couple of drawings of Reiko's clan while training and a tape containing security camera footage. She looks at the footage and sees Reiko fight and kill another ninja in front of the woman's house. She pauses it and zooms in on his face but does not know who he is. Back at Raizo's place, he's doing some training with his weapons. He swings them around and fights hard, even though he doesn't have a partner. When he's done, he starts reminiscing again, and he's sparring with someone. They fight long and hard, and Raizo is winning when his opponent slams a fiery pot in his face, turning the tide in his favor. Raizo eventually loses, and Ozunu hits him hard as punishment. Raizo falls to the floor, screaming in pain. He tells Raizo to survive the night as punishment, and when he sees him meditating the next morning, he's really proud of him. Later that day, Raizo's friend, whose name is Kiriko, has just won a sparring contest. Ozunu gives her a knife and tells her to cut her opponent. When she can't do it, Ozunu slices her face instead. Later that night, Raizo sneaks out and meets Kiriko in the box where she has been kept. He gives her some water, and they talk for a bit before he goes back. Back at Mika's office, a senior officer comes to meet her. He questions her about Agent Moslow, and Mika says that he's been pretty normal lately. The officer states that they are just checking on his well-being, and leaves. Later that day, Mika and Moslow meet again, and Moslow says that he's never received this kind of heat since he became an officer. He tells Mika not to do anything without checking with him first, and she agrees. In another episode of Raizo's Memories, he's now training while blindfolded. He wins a battle that evening, and Ozunu is very proud of him. A few days later, Kiriko decides to run away. Raizo follows her, and she tries to convince him to join her.
Come with me.
After she kisses him, he tells her that he can't go, and she leaves him behind. Later that night, Kiriko is brought back after being caught by some ninjas. Raizo has to watch as she is killed for betrayal. On Raizo's first big mission, Ozunu tells him that his whole life has been for this moment. He tells him to bring the gold watch on someone's wrist, and Reiko goes inside. Reiko attacks the target, but he is strong and fights back. The fight is tough, but Reiko eventually wins by bashing his head against the toilet repeatedly. When Raizo gives the watch to Ozunu, Ozunu tells him to keep it as a gift. He brings another girl that tries to run away, but Raizo attacks Ozunu instead. He is attacked by all the ninjas present and eventually falls off the building into the water. Back in reality, Raizo receives a phone call and leaves his apartment. He picks a card that has Mika's picture and house address on it and starts going there. When Mika gets home, it turns out that the power is out. She heads inside and sees the envelope of black sand in her apartment. The ninja is about to attack her when Raizo attacks the ninja instead. They fight for a while, and Raizo beats him. He gets Mika to trust him, and they run away before more ninjas show up. They get to a store, and Raizo gets her some black clothes. Then they go to a motel, and Mika changes. She calls Moslow on the phone, and they meet at their usual place after she tells him about Raizo. It turns out that this is a trap, and Europol arrests Raizo. Moslow takes him to an off-the-grid containment center and locks him there. Ninjas attack the place and kill dozens of officers while trying to get to where Raizo is kept. Mika frees him, though, and he ends up fighting them all on his own. The fight is incredibly tough for Raizo, and he is badly injured by the time he leaves the center. He runs through the streets while fighting ninjas with a bad leg and is about to die when Mika finds him with her car. They get in, and she offers to take him to a hospital. Raizo declines and asks her to keep moving. They go to the motel from earlier, and Mika sits beside Raizo, who is resting after being so badly injured. She thanks him for saving her life and turns on the tracking device Agent Moslow gave her earlier. Mika watches from outside as ninjas sneak in through the window, and instead of killing him, they take him back to the clan. By the time Moslow and the rest of Europol arrive, Mika tells them that they have already taken Raizo with them. While being taken to the clan, Raizo wakes up and does the trick Ozunu showed them when he wanted to heal his wound. By doing it, his wounds heal up, and he drifts back to sleep. When he reaches the clan, Ozunu tells him that he wants him to take his place.
You are the son I was waiting for.
By the way, the last time they fought, Raizo made him partially blind. Ozunu tells him that he has disgraced him and his family, and Raizo smiles. The next morning, Raizo is tied up on the stake, ready to be executed. Ozunu hits him in his jaw 3 times, and he vomits the tracking device that Moslo gave Mika. By the time Ozunu notices, Europol has busted in and is shooting at them. Mika comes and unties Raizo, and Raizo tells her that he has forgiven her. A bloodbath ensues, with both the Europol and the ninjas killing dozens of each other. Raizo enters the dojo, and the ninja that killed Kiriko all those years ago faces off against him. Raizo kills like 4 other ninjas first, then faces off against him. The fight is pretty even until he talks about how he killed Kiriko, angering Raizo. Raizo cuts off both his hands and kills him afterward, then heads straight for Ozunu. When they start fighting, Ozunu shows his superiority by disappearing into the shadows rapidly to gain an advantage over Raizo. He beats Raizo and is about to stab him when Mika shoots him in the back. Ozunu turns his attention to Mika and stabs her in the heart. This angers Raizo even more, and he uses the same trick Ozunu has been using and kills him in the process. It turns out that Mika didn't die because her heart is in the right side of her chest. The movie ends with Raizo climbing the same wall Kiriko used in her escape attempt and breathing deeply while staring into the horizon. The end. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from Imagine This, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.